All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's shir should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gabriel Tzvi, and also for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, and B'schus Refuah Shalema Bekarov Meshalom ben Sarachel, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Atar. Today, we are on page 153 in the Ora Vigdor, for those who are following along. And we're continuing this conversation that we've had as to why Hashem gave us this inherent need to work for a living, why we need to work to do things. And we gave two explanations. The first one was because Hashem wanted to give us tests to see how we do. And that when Hashem provides us with stuff, that we do that in a Jewish, a halachic dig way. The second reason is that so that we don't come to sin. How he means by that is that if we sit around doing nothing all day, we have more time to think about bad stuff and do bad things, and inevitably we'll just be bad people. And so the idea that we have to work, and it says to mix in a little bit of learning as well, and that combined together with working for a living will prevent you from doing bad things. It will actually help you do good things because you're going to work hard and have a better idea of what a good life means and want to help out other people, do other mitzvahs and cheseds and stuff like that. Now, continuing that conversation, Chavos Avava says a little bit of an amendment to that. He says that there are some times where there is an individual that the guy is so pure and so holy that he does not need to work because he's not the kind of person who is going to wind up sinning. He's a person who's fully dedicated to Hashem. He's going to utilize his time properly and he's not going to stray. And so he goes over here to talk like this, and that's going to be a little bit of an introduction to the next topic we're going to talk about. If, however, a person gives total priority to the service of Hashem, this is the case if he has full trust in Hashem with regard to his Torah learning and to his earning a livelihood, and also he turns away from shameful things that he's not supposed to do, and aspires to be a great Eved Hashem. For such a person, Hashem makes certain allowances for him and permits him to have less of an inconvenience in life, and that things come to him a little bit easier. Why? Because he doesn't require these tests. He doesn't require this extra time that he might, sit around, do nothing, and then wind up sinning. He doesn't have that Yetzer Hara, so to speak, as much as others. Lo yivad b'menucha, he will not rebel against Hashem because him having the leisure, v'lo yita ala shalva, and he won't be led astray by tranquility, v'lo yasi'eyu ha'yetzer, and the evil inclinations will not sway him. V'lo yipas b'kishbei ha'olam, such a person won't be persuaded by the false magic of the world. That false magic is something we all know very, very well what that false magic is. It's when we go online and we see what others have and the social media and the influencers and what they portray that they are, what they have, what they're doing. And we all know that behind the scenes, many of these individuals are completely fake. Yet we get bought into this world and we think of it, we're like, oh my God, that person, look at him. And we get sucked into that terrible, terrible world. Accordingly, Hashem will take the burden of working hard, seeking and searching to make a living from this person, because of the removal of the two reasons. Because this person, he's not subject to us. I don't know if he's not subject at all, but he's not subject as much as others to the idea that he might stray or he might utilize his time poorly. And so there are some times where Hashem says, this person, I'm going to make his life easier. We see that. We see tzaddikim, they might have a little easier. Now, what I just said, that tzaddikim have a little easier, brings a huge question. Now, until now, we explained the complicated system of cause and effect that we generally have in this world. And yet, Chavos Avos finishes that topic off with saying that there are sometimes those individuals who they are holier, and Hashem will make their life a little easier. And this is the segue into talking about the injustice in this world and the age-old question where we talk about if that is true, if the two reasons for us to work for a living is so that we shouldn't stray from Hashem, and that and that we are tested, and we see Hashem gives us these tests in order to excel at them and to persevere. And those holy people that we have that are really good at that, they should be the ones prospering. They should be the ones who are having the easiest life possible, whether it's money, whether it's health, whether it's whatever it is that they need in their life. They should be the ones that don't have the difficult life. And yet this brings up this new topic and this age-old question. If that is true, then why do we see so many righteous people suffer? And why do we see so many evil people that are prosperous? And that's the new question that we have today in this topic that we're going into. And he says, if someone asks, how is it that we see that some righteous people are not able to gain their sustenance easily? Without much wearying labor, that they have to work hard, even though the tzaddikim, they're so holy and they find the time to learn and to do all the mitzvahs and refrain from doing averos. Why is it that if you just said that Hashem is going to make their life easier, why is it so difficult for some of them? And also we see that so many people who are evil, who are doing all kinds of averos, yet they're the ones who are having a great life. So how is it? Now Rabbi Victor Miller says, I want you to understand something. Don't look at this as a general rule, because for the general rule, evil people don't prosper and tzaddikim don't suffer. That is the general rule. And if you look around at life, you will see that most of it is like that. Yet, there are some evil people that are seemingly prosperous, and yet there are plenty of tzaddikim, people who are worthy, who are suffering. They're having a difficult time. And so understand that the general rule still applies, but there is more to this. But before dealing with this question, he says, Noimer will say, that the prophets, these Nevi'im people, have already inquired about this subject. They already talked about this thing in length, and they came up with a bunch of questions. And this came up in Yirmiyahu. And they asked questions like, one said, Lama Sarenu Aven, why do you let me see iniquity? And you look upon vice, with robbery and violence before me, while where there's a strife of contention rises. There are wicked people in this world, so why are they able to continue their evil activities? Then another thing says, Ki Rasha Machtir es Tzadik. We also see that Rashaim, they rule over tzaddikim. And then another thing it says, Takosh Kivla Rasha Tzadik Mimenu. Why are you silent, Hashem, when a wicked man swallows up one more righteous than he? When you see a wicked person who beats up, or takes upon, or he captures, or something else even worse from a tzaddik, why do you let that happen? And another thing it says, Hine Eli Rasham, behold, these are the wicked people, V'shalvei Olam, and they're ever so happy. His Guchayo, they have attained great wealth. And also, Achrik Zakisi Lavavi Ve'echatz Bin Kain Kapai. Why is it for nothing that I made my heart pure and washed, and I dealt with you, Hashem, in the way you wanted me to do it? I was a great Eved Hashem, and yet for me, you did nothing. And yet for the Rasha, I see him has everything. He's so happy. He's got everything over there. And over here, you see a lot of it comes out of Tehillim. And David HaMelech was complaining, why do I see that people who don't live righteously are successful? In contrast, for many years, David HaMelech lived, he ran away, he was pursued by Shaul HaMelech, and he lived a difficult life for a long time. And then another person said, another said about the people of his generation, they tested Hashem and escaped punishment. What did they do? They were evil. They put their hand in the fire. They tried to see if they're going to get burnt, and they realized that it's not so hot, that they didn't burn their hands. And so why? Why is it that so? Why do we see so much of that? But the prophet, the Navi Yirmiyahu, left the question without an answer to explain the reason for this. There's all these questions came up, but there was no answer given. And mitzvah tomorrow we're going to get into the reason for that. But the high level reason is over here. You have to understand, there is no general rule for everything. As a matter of fact, Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Hanastaris Lashem Elokeinu," the hidden things belong to Hashem, and that we as people, we have to deal with what we see in front of us as we can understand. But things that we can't comprehend, those are the things that Hashem has to deal with. We have to understand that Hashem is going to deal with beyond our pay grade to deal with those things. And he says over here, the reason he doesn't give an exact reason as to why tzaddikim suffer sometimes and why you see so many evil people that are prosperous is because there is no one reason that covers it all. And that's what we're going to get into in the next couple of days as to what hypothetically those reasons might be as to why you might see a tzaddik suffer so much, why you might see a Russia who's so seemingly prosperous. And that's the segue that we're going to get into, and so you should understand that not everything in life is face value. That's what we're going to learn over the next couple of days. What you see is not exactly what you think it might be. And when it'll help you with the question that many of us have is why him? Why not me? I do my part and I get nothing. That person is out there doing all kinds of bad stuff and he has everything. And that's going to help us a lot with that specific issue that some of us, many of us, none of us, hopefully none of us have that, but we're going to talk about that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today. And as always, I love you all.